It's no longer about oil, because if you look throughout the history, traditionally, for the last 70 years or so, if there was any conflict in the Middle East, it used to affect the price of oil internationally. So countries used to rally very quickly to try and dampen the conflict or do something about it, stabilize it, and so on. That's no longer the case. In fact, now we have this exceptional time when Saudi Arabia in itself is in war and the oil prices have not gone up. It did a slight movement at the beginning of the war, and then it took a steady price all the way through it. And the reason for that is that, as you rightly pointed out, the West and particularly the United States is no longer dependent on oil from the Gulf. Now, there are other parts of the world that are dependent on it, India, China, but I think the fact that there is so much surplus in the market at the moment does not make it as acute to them to respond as it would have been maybe 10, 20 years ago. Why the West is taking this line, I think there is no very clear answer to that, and there's and it's part of the hypocrisy that is being criticized a lot by people on the streets in the Arab and Muslim world. I personally think they should have taken a different position. The friends of Saudi Arabia are not really being good friends, in the sense that they're not advising Saudi Arabia correctly and accurately of what should happen. In Islam, we say if you're a friend to someone, one of your duties is to stop them when they're doing wrong. You know, that is an expression of friendship. But to simply go along with them, not questioning the motivations behind this war, not questioning the logic behind it, continuing to supply them with intelligence and weapons and so on, is not necessarily a good friendship, really.
The United States has bolstered the Saudi-led coalition's airstrikes in Yemen through arms sales and direct military support. Saudi Arabia is one of the U.S. arms industry's biggest customers. Last month, the State Department approved a billion-dollar deal to restock Saudi Arabia's Air Force arsenal, which was depleted by its bombing campaign in Yemen. The sale included thousands of air-to-ground munitions and general-purpose bombs. The U.S. and other countries have also reportedly sold internationally banned cluster munitions to Saudi Arabia that are now being used in Yemen.
Particularly the United States and many European countries ought to take a very different position from what they're doing at the moment.
The UN Secretary-General coming to explain to reporters his recent controversial decision. The Saudi-led coalition had been included on a UN blacklist because of child casualties in Yemen, but he decided to remove them from the list.
It is unacceptable for member states to exert undue pressure.
You talk about undue pressure. The fact that you back down to that undue pressure, does that affect the credibility of the United Nations, and do you believe you were threatened by Saudi Arabia?
This was a very difficult and painful decision I have to make, because of there are so many much more serious issues. Because of this, you cannot burn down whole house.
I don't agree with them being taken off the list. I can't explain it really. I would have personally added not just Saudi Arabia, but all the allies in the attack, because everybody who signed up to this war has clearly had a hand in the killing at least one child. There's more, of course, but we can't be selective, and I think it's part of protecting and respecting international universal standards.